Monday I have to come for Kaddish.
You can come even when you don't have to say Kaddish. It will let you in.
I know, but I have to know what time because.
No calendars this year, Rabbi.
Huh?
No new calendars this year.
I got it.
It's going to take a week. You didn't get our calendar. You got someone else's calendar.
I got from
Rabbi
Russian.
Barry's calendar.
You got berries.
Yes,
He also got berries.
that's who she got.
I really need it.
But you probably got from Rappaport.
Not yet, no, we didn't.
So next week,
Get a calendar.
What?
is Rat Hashem next week?
It's supposed to come next week. Close, but right before Rosh Hashanah. I mean, this calendar still works, our September calendar.
Only till September.
Only until the
No,
middle
but if you're
only
trying
in the
to
middle of Rosh Hashanah.
Figure out
No,
what
the end
happens
is
in
it
October.
doesn't have Yom Kippur.
We changed this year a new
Vendor,
Format.
a new printer, a new format,
vendor.
and I think probably might have been a little mistake. Tried to save a couple dollars, but I don't think it helped.
I've been trying.
We'll find out. You know.
So I usually get one from Nashville, so
No, you're
Rabbi
gonna,
can't tell.
they're gonna be here. They're gonna be here next week. By hook or by crook, I think. Okay, Rabbi side looks like we're a small crowd today, which is good, and we can enjoy some learning. And we are going to discuss again a mitzvah that we discussed in the previous years, but we're going to try to learn maybe something new. And this is Parshas Kisavai on page 1068. Very interesting mitzvah. A mitzvah which the Torah wants us and asks us to do it, and specifically mentions that by doing it we shall be happy, or we will be happy. Happiness. Everybody looks for happiness. Happiness is called simcha. I heard from the Rebbe 1965, 1985, Simchas Torah. The Rebbe said, simcha with the letter Yud. Yud. A Jew is a lot of time called a Yid. Yud represents Sameach plus Simcha. Simcha means joy. Makes up the word Mashiach. Mem, Shin, Yud, Chet. Yud Sameach is Mashiach. Rabbi spoke about being happy, but even if you have Mashiach in your midst. Today, on the Hasidic calendar, is also a special day. It's the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, and the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement, which they were both born on the 18th of Elul, called Chai Elul, which is today. And one of the big important subjects that both the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe emphasized was the subject of Simcha, of joy. How to realize the opportunity which we have in life to be a part of God's purpose in creation, and that should be a source of simcha, a source of joy. Hasidim is one title for those who follow the Baal Shem Tov's teachings. But one of their nicknames, besides being called Hasidim, they were also called for a period of time the Freilacher, the happy ones. The happy ones, because they were people who were very much lived a life of happiness and expressed their happiness with song and dance, to the point that we have Hasidic music, Hasidic dancing. What is Hasid? Hasidism is a philosophy. What does it have to do with dancing and singing? The answer is that was a big emphasis in the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, was in the Alter Rebbe, in Tanya, and so on, in Hasidus in general, is to realize that a person has great opportunities to be joyful. In this week's Parsha, we start that there is actually a portion which discusses Simcha. Simcha, which has nothing to do with Yom Tov, with the holiday, nothing which has to do with Shabbos. Simcha, which has to do with day-to-day life. What does the Parsha say on page 1068 in the Hebrew? And in the English, it's 1069. V'hoyo kisavay al ha'oretz, asher Hashem Elokecha nosein lecho nachalo. It will be when you enter the land that Hashem, your God, gives you as an inheritance. V'yirishto v'yoshavto bo, and you possess it and dwell in it. Which means, as we learned many times, the Israelites entering the land of Israel, there was no miracles. There was no such a thing that right away, automatically, hocus pocus, the land was theirs, and they all found themselves beautiful homes and palaces to live in. They had to work hard. They had to fight wars. 7 years they were fighting and conquering the land from the original inhabitants of the land, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Girgashite. If you want to know the story of those battles, you read the beginning of the book of Joshua, the first book following the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. You're going to find the story and the names and the geographical areas and many details, the tactics of war. Yes, the miracle of Jericho, that was a miracle that the wall collapsed by them making their circle. But after Jericho, things were very challenging. And then they had to settle and to conquer and to divide. And there were the 12 tribes, as we discussed in the previous Parshas. The land had to be divided. And finally, what happens when you settle? You grow a field. You plant a field, you grow a field, you have fruits, vegetables. Comes verse 2 and says, Velokachta meireshis kol pri adama, that you shall take of the first of every fruit of the ground, asher Hashem Elokecha noisen loch, of that ground, of that land that Hashem, your God, gives to you. Asher tovi mi'artzecha asher Hashem Elokecha noisen loch, v'samto batenet, and you shall put it in a basket. Ve'olachto el hamokoim asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha, and you shall go to the place that Hashem, your God, will choose. L'shakim shmoi sham, to have his name rest there. Meaning, like the verse already indicates, it's not going to be one place, depending on the area, depending on what time. Not right away is the chosen home going to be Jerusalem. Hundreds of years, over 400, but 500 years or more, is when they entered Israel until they finally settled in Jerusalem, is where the chosen place was. There was a place called Shiloh, which is the temple there, the chosen place, and this is the place where people had to bring the Bikurim, this first fruit, for 369 years. Nov and Givon, 52 years. This was long time period until they finally came when King David purchased the land, and King Solomon built the final temple in Jerusalem. So God says, wherever you're going to be, and whatever my chosen place is going to be, I want you to perform this special mitzvah. This mitzvah is known as the mitzvah of Bikurim. Bikurim means ripe fruit. So basically the way it worked was when a person saw in his field that some of the fruit, for example, figs or pomegranates, are beginning to ripe, he used to go and tie a ribbon around them, wait for them to become completely ripe. And once they became completely ripe, since they were the first ones, he detached them from the tree, and he put them in a basket. And that basket he was carrying on his shoulders all the way to the temple. And he wasn't the only one. There were many farmers. That was the trade of the land. And they were all joining together in a parade, in jubilation and joy and celebration, to offer these first ripe fruit. There is an old tractate of Mishnah called Bikurim. Carries it on his shoulders, takes away time from work, gives up his job, leaves his family, sometimes, many times, and schleps himself to Yerushalayim with a fig on his shoulders in a basket. Why? Bikurim. This is the first ripe. What does the Torah say? What happens when it comes? We'll come back to it. Says, he makes a declaration over those fruits. We're going to discuss the declaration in a minute. But if you go to the end of the declaration, which is verse 10, says the verse, Ve'ato, the guy says it now, Eivesi es reishis priya adomo, asher natata li Hashem. I have brought the first fruit of the ground that you have given to me, Hashem. Ve'inachtoi lifnei Hashem Elokecha, and you place it, you display it before Hashem. Ve'ishtachaviso lifnei Hashem Elokecha, and then you shall prostrate yourself before Hashem your God. Ve'somachto bekol hatov asher natan lecha Hashem Elokecha u'leveisecha. You shall rejoice with all the goodness that Hashem your God has given to you and to your household. You, ve'alevi asher bekibecho, everyone who lives in the country, everybody who fulfills this mitzvah is going to experience joy, simcha. What does the Torah want? The Torah wants us to celebrate our success. You worked in the field, you finally earned the opportunity to see some of the fruits of your labor, literally fruits of your labor, and the Torah says you should join. I want you to be b'simcha. I want you to be b'simcha. I want you to be happy with what you got. This is the first part of the Parsha. Later in the Parsha, we also have a long list of what it's called the admonishment. The admonishment, this is a long list where the Torah talks about the situation when a person did not follow the ways of Hashem. A long list, not such a good list. It's called the curses. And it goes on and on and on page 1078 and page 1079 and 1080. You see long verses. And then in the midst of all those curses, suddenly, while it's going to continue with more curses later, he throws in the reason why I'm so upset with you. What got you to come to a point that you can? He says on verse 47, why is it for? Tachas asher lo yovadeto es Hashem Elokecho besimcho v'tuv levo, because you did not serve Hashem, your God, and with gladness and goodness of heart. Besimcha, it says in the Hebrew. I gave you, and you weren't happy. You weren't happy. Doesn't say you didn't put on tefillin. Doesn't say you didn't keep Shabbos. It doesn't say you didn't keep kosher. You were probably a good yid, but not a happy yid. And when you were not happy, that is the reason, he says, in the verse, the simcha, you were lacking simcha, this is what you get. The Rambam takes it into even an halachic perspective. The Rambam you can find in the laws of Farkash Lulav, which the Rambam says clearly in the end of Farkash Lulav. This is the last halacha in Maimonides. What does the Rambam say? Listen to what the Rambam says. Chapter 8, halacha 15, says the Rambam. I'm going to read you now a piece of Rambam. Listen to the Rambam, okay? Jerry, this is not the Kabbalistic Hasidic insight. This is, right, a physician, as you call him, right?
Right.
A realist.
A chemist.
A what?
A chemist.
A chemist. What does the Rambam say? The happiness with which a person shall rejoice in the fulfillment of the mitzvahs and the love of God who commanded them is a great service. In other words, he's talking about a person who does mitzvahs and a person who loves God. Says the Rambam, but the happiness with which a person shall rejoice in the fulfillment of this mitzvahs, he calls it avoda gdola. This is a great service. This is in addition to every, above and beyond the regular service. And listen to his words. Whoever holds himself back from this rejoicing is worthy of retribution. Hey, hello, what do you take it? What are you getting? What are you threatening me? Says the Rambam. It's a verse, the Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 47. He quotes our verse. Tachas asher lo yavadta Hashem Elokecha b'simcha. Because you did not serve God the Lord with happiness and a glad heart. So this verse comes after a full description of the curses and retribution which God will visit upon the Jewish people for their sins. From the Rambam statement, it appears clear that the Rambam learns that it's not what they did not serve Hashem, and it's not even for the sins. The Rambam learns the verse, that what the verse means to tell you, that the lack of happiness in the service of God, this is the source, this is the reason for the retribution, not the sins themselves, which brought about its punishment. It is the lack of happiness. That's what the Rambam says. You can look it up, Farkash Lulav, chapter 8, halacha 15. And the Rambam goes on further and he says, whoever holds himself proud, giving himself honor, and acts highly in such situation is a sinner and a fool. Rather, the one who keeps himself low and thinks lightly of his person in those situations is truly the person who is considered worthy of honor, who serves God with love. And he brings the story of King David, who King David, and this is what he ends up, Melech David, mefazez umecharker lifnei Hashem. King David, before the ark, he was dancing, jumping, making himself, a little above and beyond normal. He was really, really expressing his joy. And we all know the story when Michal, King Saul's daughter, when she witnessed David's, making himself so total lack of honor, like making himself so simple and lowly in dancing, she reproved them, right? She admonished them. David, what are you doing? Doesn't fit for a king to do it. And David answered it very sharply. King David, as the story is mentioned in the book of Shmuel Bet, the second Shmuel, King David says that this is precisely this ability to give himself totally over to godliness, and in such a way, this is the way it should be. This is people have to serve Hashem with joy, with dancing, make himself a little meshuggah. This is what the Rambam says. So you see in this Parsha, the beginning of the Parsha, the middle of the Parsha, it all talks about Simcha, the importance of Simcha. Simcha is such an important concept in Yiddishkeit. They say a Hasidic story. Hasidic story is that once Hasidim came to this Rebbe. This Rebbe was a Rebbe in Poland called the Simcha Bunim of Pshischa. He was leading a Hasidic dynasty in Poland. And they were singing and dancing. They were having a very exciting Shabbos by the Rebbe. And after Shabbos, a Chassid comes in late at night, very upset, very frustrated, very angry. I was making my way and I got stuck somewhere in traffic and I missed this whole Shabbos by the Rebbe. And obviously this guy was a bitter person as it is, so he began also unloading all his other issues and peklach, as they say, and expressing his bitterness, this aspect of life and that aspect of life, and this is life challenging, this is all the tzoros, everything happens to him. Everybody else is happy besides him. The Bunim of Pshischa tells him as follows. He said, listen, I want to tell you, Rabbi, let me tell you something. Shabbos is a very welcoming host. Shabbos is a very welcoming host. Anyone who comes into Shabbos, Shabbos grants him full honor and respect. For example, the Rebbe Rebunim says, comes Yom Tov. Yom Tov falls out on Shabbos. What does Shabbos say? The maftir is going to be a Yom Tov maftir. The Musaf is going to be a Yom Tov Musaf. You are here, I'm giving you respect, Shabbos says. I'm moving aside, let's be the service called a Yom Tov service. Comes Rosh Chodesh on Shabbos, the first day of the new month. Again, Shabbos very humbly tells Rosh Chodesh, you are here. The maftir, the Haftorah is going to be a Rosh Chodesh Haftorah. The Musaf is going to be what? Musaf of Torah. Shabbos is beautiful. Comes Yom Kippur. What does Shabbos tell Yom Kippur? Listen, you my guest. I'm giving up everything. You don't have to make Kiddush. No challah. I'm giving up the 3 meals. No one's going to eat in my honor. Why? Because you came in. You are Yom Kippur. You are my guest. So Shabbos gives honor to Yom Kippur. There's only, he says, one guest that Shabbos rejects completely. Who is that guest? That guest is Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. When the day of mourning of Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos, what does Shabbos tell him? Sorry, I know you're a guest, but you're going to have to wait till tomorrow. I'm not giving up my day for you. So Rebunim said, how's it? Shabbos is such a beautiful host. Everybody is welcomed so greatly. How come he rejects Tisha B'Av? Be nice to Tisha B'Av. He said because Tisha B'Av is a day of sadness. A day where people walk around depressed and not happy. Shabbos can't stand people like that. Shabbos can't stand a day like this. If that's who you are, you better come tomorrow. I'm not giving you no respect today. He tells this chassid, we here had a fun Shabbos with people who are energetic, who are excited, but someone who is constantly complaining and everything he finds bitter and sad, because this is like we spoke a few weeks ago, this is the type of world that we live in. Every billboard on the street tells you that you don't have enough. The new car, and the new You think already I got a phone and I paid extra few dollars and I'm thinking I'm having already a fancy phone. You open the paper the next day, Gornish, you have nothing. You don't know what you're missing. This part you don't have, and this is what you don't have. I buy a car, I thought I got myself a good car. Gornish, who, every corner, every advertisement, everything tells you that whatever you have, you really have nothing because there's much greater and better. And that's what we're lacking simcha. So we have to come tonight and learn and try to understand how through this Parsha of Bikurim does the Torah inspire us with the ability to be besimcha. This is what we're going to discuss based on the teaching, obviously, of Torah and the Rambam and so on, and the Rabbi. Let's go a moment and try to analyze what is the mitzvah of Bikurim. We spoke many years about it and many times about it. The mitzvah of Bikurim is to say thank you. That's what it is. The old declaration of Bikurim that we're reading on page 1068 is a declaration which talks about thank you God for making us who we are. And the truth is, this is what we do all day. Thank you. You get up in the morning, Modeh ani lefanecha. We start our prayers every morning, Hoidu LaHashem. We have 100 blessings. You know that every person says every day 100 blessings? 100 blessings means that 100 times we're stopping to say thank you. The Shulchan Aruch says, the Alter Rebbe brings the Shulchan Aruch, that it was a time during King David, when King David was king, there was a time that they couldn't figure out, somehow people never kept on dying. It was like an epidemic. David HaMelech al the Ma'aser Shel Yemeisim, he says in section 46 in Shulchan Aruch, as a result of the following incident at the time of King David, that 100 Jews were dying every day for no known reasons. King David investigated and through divine inspiration understood what was necessary in response is to recite 100 blessings every day. And these blessings is going to give us the opportunity to thank God and to love God, and that's going to stop this epidemic. That's what it says. 100 blessings. How do we say 100 blessings a day? If you daven, if you want to make the calculation, the math is very quick. The Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, if you daven 3 services a day, Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvit, every prayer has 19 blessings. That's called 18, but now we have it 19. So if you have the original, 18 times 3 or 19 times 3, is already 57. Counting, yeah? 57. Then, at night, before we daven, before we say Shema, we have 2 blessings. And after we say Shema, there is actually 3 blessings. Fardim and Ari don't say the 3rd blessing, but in Bikucholim, they do say the 3rd blessing called Yiru Enenu V'Yismach Lebeinu. So there is 3 blessings. So now you have already the evening prayer as 5. So what are we holding? Give me an account.
62.
What is that?
62.
Oh, 62. Now you sit down for supper. Every simple supper, a normal dinner is 8 blessings. How do you have 8 blessings by dinner? So the Alter Rebbe says you make on Netilat Yadayim. A normal dinner is some for a meal, not like today you snack on sushi. And a meal means a piece of bread with food, like our grandparents used to eat. So the Alter Rebbe says you make 8 blessings is just by dinner. You make a Netilat Yadayim, and then you make a motzi on the bread, and then you make Birkat HaMazon as 4 blessings, that's 6. Then you make Birkat HaMazon like a mensch over a cup of wine. So you make a Bore Priya Gefen and Ala Gefen afterwards, right? The blessing after wine. So 8 blessings just for dinner. No movie holding?
70.
70. Before you go to sleep, you have the blessing called the Hamapil, the blessings after Shema. 71, you get up in the morning, you wash your hand, Tilat Yadayim, you go to the bathroom, Asher Yatzar, and then you say Elokai Neshama, it's already 74.
74.
Right? The mornings of the daily morning blessings is, but the rooster and opening the eyes is 15. 15 blessings you say every morning. So what is that already?
89.
89. Then you say Birkat Torah. You have 3 blessings. Al Divrei Torah, Amalamet Torah Lam Yisrael, Baruch Ata Hashem Noisen HaTorah, right? 3 blessings. So what is it?
92.
92. You put on 2 tefillin, 2 blessings on the tefillin, at least the Nusach Ashkenaz, is what is it? 94. Make a blessing on the talit.
95.
Baruch She'amar El Ishtabach.
96.
96. 2 before Shema and 1 after Shema.
99.
No.
96, 97, 98, 99.
Baruch She'amar El Ishtabach. Baruch She'amar El Ishtabach. And 2 before Shema and 1 after Shema, Gal Israel is 100.
We had 96 and 3, that's 3. Where's the 4?
We had 74. Tilo L'Kai Neshama. 74 plus 15 of the morning blessings. Did how much?
89.
89. We had the 3 blessings of the Torah.
92.
We had 2 on Tefillin.
94.
1 for Tzitzis.
95.
Baruch She'omar.
96.
Ishtabach.
97.
2 before Shema.
Now 99.
1 after Shema, Gal Israel.
Now 100. You missed
If it
one.
doesn't work for you, I will send you one more time to the bathroom to say Asher Yotzar one more time.
What about
We missed
women?
one out of the-
What about women?
Like everything else, the men take care of them on that too. Men do nothing. That's we are not doing. Shabbos. Now the Rebbe said, come Shabbos, there's no more 19 blessings in Amida. Shabbos is only 7. So he says you should have dessert, make another bracha, and another type of dessert.
Fruits.
Fruits, this, l'chaim, and keep on going.
Ice cream.
Minei besamim, and so on. Shalom before davening, shalom during davening. Now, what's the idea of keep on saying thank you, Baruch, Baruch Ato, blessed are you, blessed are you, blessed are you, to the point, you go to a restaurant, at the end of the meal, you say one thank you to the waiter, give him a tip. What is it? The ongoing. Yehudim. Why are we called Yehudim? From the word Oidah, right? You thank. What is so necessary to thank, to the point that even those objects which are what do you call the doimim, like silent, like rocks and what do you call it? The world of inanimate. You also have to say thank you for. You also have to be grateful for. We know that the first 3 plagues in Egypt, Moses wasn't allowed to perform, right? He wasn't allowed to perform. Why not? Because the water somehow protected him, and the sun protected him, and he was hiding the Egyptian, right? He was always busy with something. The Torah didn't allow him. What are we trying to accomplish? So here I will share with you an interesting insight from the Rabbi, which goes back to the declaration. I don't know how many of you know that the old Passover Agada, the main part, the long part, is this week's, is the Bikurim declaration with interpretation on it. It's literally quoting verses, part of verses of today's Parsha, and offering insight into it. This is what makes up our Passover Agada. This is what makes our Passover Agada. Look at verse 5. Ve'anisa ve'amarto, you should call out and say before Hashem. You got it. Arami oived ovi. It was an Aramean tried to destroy my forefather. This goes back to the story of Lavan, who tried to kill
The whole family.
How was he trying to kill the whole family? There was Lavan, and he was chasing after Yaakov, and he wanted to kill him. Right? After he went home. And then Vayered Mitzrayim, we came down to Egypt. And in Egypt, we lived, and we became into a big nation. Now you remember that's the Passover Agada. What is great, what is magnified, the Agada just goes on and interprets those words. Verse 6, Vayerois on Mitzrim, and the Egyptian mistreated us, and the Agada tells us what does mistreating mean, right? What did they do? Vayanunu, and they inflicted us, and they gave us hard work, and we called out to God, and He took us out, and He brought us to this land, and now you got your Bikurim. This is the story. This is the statement that we say when we bring the Bikurim. This is the declaration. He brings it, and he goes over seemingly like we call it like a crash course in history, saying what got him from point A to point Z. How did we get from the moment when our forefather Yaakov built his family, he was about to be destroyed by Laban, and we came down to Egypt. This is mentioning basically the kindness of God who brought us to here. And the Rabbi asked a wonderful question. And he says, if you want to mention scenarios, situations, times when God treated us miraculously and protected us, there were many other stories. What about Jacob and Esau? Esau wanted to kill Yaakov. Mentioned that. What about the manna in the desert? The water? I mean, there are so many other stories that we read in the Torah, and God protected us. Why is it when it comes to the Bikurim, we mention these two? Lavan and Egypt. There were many other occasions that Hashem was saving us. This is literally the question. This is what he asks. There were many other things. He said it's a question which even Rashi should have answered. He says the splitting of the sea, he could have mentioned. The war against Amalek should have been mentioned. All the kindness in the desert, the manna, the well. They kept us going for 40 years to bring us to the land that we are now bringing our Bikurim, our first ripe fruit from. And then in the desert itself, there was the story with the rivers, there was this war with Sichon and Og, there was all kinds of situations. Even if you're going to tell me that after all, it was like more like general type of, experiences. They were saved from destruction. Everything else maybe continued. It was more a continuation of the miracle of the Exodus. But still the Rebbe says, what happened to Yaakov, which is in between the time when Laban wanted to kill him and going down to Egypt, the fact that Yaakov was saved from Esau is for sure a big story. We all know how Yaakov was afraid and he prayed to God that Sileni no, rescue me from the hands of my brother, from the hands of Esau. Why are all the stories not mentioned? What is so significant about the story of Lavan and the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt? Why these two? Why these two? No, maybe somebody wants to share an insight why this is.
Slavery.
What?
Slavery.
What does it have to do with slavery? Lavan was slavery. Yaakov was also slave.
Yaakov was slavery for 20 years.
The rescue is not from the slavery, the rescue is from Esau. He wasn't a slave to Esau. He was physically saved. The Rebbe says something very interesting. He says, when a person usually likes to nostalgize, right? I went to visit today, I encourage everyone who has the opportunity to go visit Liz Bernberg, who's usually here at class, is sitting Shiva after the passing of her mother. She's going to be sitting tomorrow on Friday from 12 till 8 p.m. in the house. There's an open door, come in whenever you want, you have to make an appointment. So I was there today around 2 or 3 o'clock. And there was a lot of family members. She comes from a large Seattle family. Oh, that you had to hear the nostalgia. She has pictures, a lot of pictures from in the days when a picture still meant something, right? Before digital cameras. So she has pictures of this one and that one. So here, mother's brother was there, the youngest brother of the family, but they had a bakery here in Bellevue, a very famous family called the Brenners. So your mother was a Brenner, and this is the youngest brother is still is around. He lives, I think, in Arizona. But he was there in the house. And there were other Seattleites, and they were talking about this, and Uncle Harry and Uncle Shmeri, and this one and that one, and the baker and the butcher, and the butcher and the baker, and the kosher one, and the rabbi, and Rabbi Shapiro, and Rabbi Appel, and all kinds of stories. Nostalgia. Personally, I love hearing those stories. You know, it's like connects you back to different times. Part of being nostalgic is when you were in a certain situation that you tried to be in and you failed. Unfortunately, you failed. And then you are reliving the same experience, the same situation, but without failing, rather being successful. You like to go back and think about the times that I was in a similar time and place, but not able to do it, and yet take a look. Now, I'm in the same situation, and thank God, look who I am.
Mm-hmm.
True? Psychologically true? Good. Says the Rebbe, if you analyze all the miracles what happened, even this great miracle of Yaakov being protected from Esau, that's not what we're dealing with. We are trying to relive what happened to us in order to really appreciate the mitzvah of Bikurim. When do you bring Bikurim? Bikurim you bring once you settle in the land. You live here. This is my home. And you're building yourself as a resident in an area, having a field, and finally you see to it that you can grow your own produce, and you're bringing some of it to God. So you have to find yourself in a time and place that you were settled and yet didn't succeed. And look back and say, oh, now that I'm settled and I do succeed, God, I really feel the thank you, I need to give it to you. What happened to Yaakov when he was by Lavan's house, he settled. Why? And he had another wife. And he built a family, right? A mishpucha, with children. So he really settled. And what happened? Once he thought he settled, boom!
Get away.
Lavan comes, chases after him, wants to kill him. The settling did not lead to full success. He was chased by his own father-in-law. Same thing would happen in Egypt. 100 years we came down there, 70 people. Yosef, he had a Nash Brat, right? He was the man, and we lived there, we had a yeshiva in Goshen, and Rabbi Yaakov the Zayda was with us, and we built, and the family was growing and growing. We were settled. You're settled? You think you're settled, it's all good? Boom. Comes a Pavai. Therefore, Torah tells you, when you come now to Israel, and you're settling finally, you come and recognize that they're bringing Bikurim and remind yourself how many times you tried to settle and it didn't work. But now that you are here in the Holy Land, you can say thank you, but because now, Baruch Hashem, you're here. Now we will give him a Torah. The story that God protected Yaakov from Esav, for example, says the Rebbe has nothing to do with the mitzvah of Bikurim. Because this is just a miracle what happened while someone being on the road and trying to get attacked. These miracles we always mention. We have Hanukkah, we have Purim. That's not Bikurim. The mitzvah of Bikurim is a specific mitzvah which is associated with a person who is settling in a certain position in the land of Israel, and while being settled, he recognizes that yes, I am here, but I owe the gratitude and the thanks to the one who brought me here and the one who takes care of me here. This is the mitzvah of Bikurim. This is the true gratitude. You settled, but you recognize that someone gave you the strength and it gives you the ability to do what you had to do. A person who says thank you, a person who keeps on saying thank you, and he recognizes that it's being provided constantly, is a joyful person. Because he's constantly saying, oop, it was given to me. Oops, something else was given to me. Baruch Ato Hashem. Baruch Ato Hashem. Baruch Ato Hashem. You keep on saying, blessed are you Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, blessed are you Hashem. Obviously you're going to be besimcha. Why? Because you're constantly testifying that you are being provided. Why are you bitter? Why aren't you happy? Because you think that no one has given to you anything. Everybody else says, and I don't. But the moment you make brachas, and each bracha you make is a further statement that somebody gave you something. If not, what are you making a bracha for? What are you making a bracha for? I know a Jew in London. I knew him all of a sudden. I stayed in his house with my wife. Once we were on the way to Israel, his name was Mr. Freddie Ager. He lived in Golders Green, and he was involved in the diamond industry. Remember, he passed away a few years ago, suddenly. So there's a few stories about the Hager. His wife was very close to the Rebbetzin. I mentioned to you the story that they didn't come from a Chabad family at all. But Mrs. Ager's father had to go to surgery, and he asked the Rebbe for a blessing, and the Rebbe gave him a bracha, and he had a successful surgery, and he wrote the Rebbe a thank you. And the Rebbe told it to his wife, to the Rebbetzin. You know what happened today? Surprise. Somebody wrote me a thank you. They never got thank yous. He got a lot of requests. The Rebbe calls it tzaras chassidim. Chassidim which always come and they have tzaras, when they have problems. So the Rebbe's wife, Rebbe Chaim Mushka, specifically called up the Hager, said, I want to meet with you. I mean, he was a very, very private person, the Rebbe's wife. She never almost met anybody. And when they came, like, what's the occasion? She said, I want to meet people who knew how to acknowledge, to say thank you to my husband. So they became friendly. This is not the story. This is also, you see, the advantage of saying thank you, but Freddie Hager for a time, he was the president of the Diamond Club or Bursa in London. And he came to the Rebbe and he complained. Business is not going well, this is not going well. He says it on the video, you can hear him saying it, a moment, Chabad.org, you have those videos, eye to eye, whatever they call it. And the Rebbe told them very clearly, you are complaining too much. You have to change your attitude. You have to change your attitude. You have to be around happy people. And he came back, and there was this guy which he never wanted to be around him because this guy was a New Yorker and he was always kind of, very proud of his success, and he kept on talking about it, and Freddie kind of made him nervous. So he didn't associate with them. But now that he decided he's going to change his attitude, he went over to him and says, "Oh, how are you?" The guy looked at him and says, "Oh, great. You have an opportunity." Freddie was in the part of business in diamonds which he was able to find you a good sales. Meaning, if somebody wants to buy stuff, he could have get you a good deal. The guy says, "Yes, I'm actually looking to buy." Yeah. Freddie got him a good deal, and he made a lot of money, and he became very successful. Just by changing his attitude, by deciding, you know what, I'm going to be with the happy people. I told you, I once met a Jew in Los Angeles. Who was hanging out with kind of Meshuggahim, kind of crazy. And somebody was asking him in shul, "Why do you always hang out with this guy?" And I love the way he responded. He says, "Look, I have a choice to either spend time with the criminals or with the crazies. I would rather stay with the crazies." What is the crazies over the criminals? Because they are happy. Whatever they are happy. Anyway, the point is, I'm going to finish off this talk about Bikurim. The point about Bikurim is, the idea is that when a person thanks and keeps on thanking, right? When he keeps on thanking, he's able to realize that really he was given a lot, and Hashem keeps on providing him, and by realizing that, he's going to be happy. There's a lot to talk about, that they say the Jews did not want to let Moshe die. Hashem took out Moshe in the midst of the day. He didn't want to let Moshe die. They wouldn't let Moshe die. The Medrash says they wouldn't let him die because he did so many good things for them. They would say, "No, you can't go." And that's why Hashem specifically said, "I'm going to take him in the middle of the day, I'm going to, because his day came." The point is, now standing, a week and a half before Rosh Hashanah. And this is the time which we call Cheshbon Nefesh. Cheshbon Nefesh means soul searching. Everyone is required to soul search and to see, as in Yeshiva, the Mashpia, the Hasidic mentor of Shlomo Chaim said, the way you do soul searching is by discussing what could have I done, what could have I do, what did I do, and mainly what am I going to do. Start with what could have I done. You have to first evaluate yourself. It's very easy to think about what I did and feel satisfied if you don't know if you don't evaluate what I could have done. What I did this, I did this, is it okay? I guess it's okay. But if you evaluate first what could have I done, and you seriously think about it, you realize you could have done a lot of good things. But then when you think step 2, what did I do? I guess there's more work to do. But the main thing, as Hasidus always puts the emphasis on, what am I going to do? Not a time to get depressed. But one of the things that we are looking back, and it's important to talk about it, and God willing we'll continue to talk about it, is to see, did we say thank you enough last year? Let's go back. Everyone to himself. We had Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Teves, Shvat, first order, second order, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, 13 months. We got good stuff. Baruch Hashem, We were bleeding, we were eating, some of us have husbands, some of us have wives, some of us have kids, some of us have children, some of us have parents. To realize, and whatever we didn't thank enough, to take this next 11 days and non-stop saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're going to come to the new year with a whole new attitude of simcha and joy, and Hashem is going to continue providing us. Be'ezrat Hashem, it should be a good year. Shana Tova Metuka, everybody.
Amen.
Amen.
Outside there are flyers which have the schedule for the holidays and other programs.